What's going on, guys? Alright, so today, as you can probably tell by the title, I want to talk about the Mcfarlane Toys Dune figures from the Dune movie that came out just last year in 2021. The figures themselves have actually been out quite a bit longer than that. Obviously, I think most of us know that due to COVID and a lot of other stuff that was going on a year prior to when the movie released, which was when it was supposed to actually release, you know, the movie got delayed, but the toys themselves were already made and shipped out and ready to go to retail. And because of that, well, a couple years ago we saw a lot of toys coming out for a movie that we wouldn't see for over a year, and nobody was really even sure if the movie would be any good. And so the figures just kind of sat around, and they did. I passed on them quite a few times myself at retail. I just couldn't see myself picking them up. And then last year when the movie finally did release, I watched the movie, and guess what? I loved it. But by the time the movie came out and was released, there weren't as many figures out there at retail, and the ones that were, well, they really weren't for a price that I wanted to pay. But now is actually a great time to pick these figures up. Look, I just picked up the entire Wave 1 set. Currently the only wave. It may be the only wave that Mcfarlane ever comes out with for these toys. But there's a couple things going on right now that might make you interested in these. One, the fact that the second movie is going into production. It is being filmed right now, supposed to be released next fall. Two, the movie was actually really good. I really enjoyed it, and most people did who saw the movie as well. So 2 points right there. And three, most importantly, because of the weird timing of the toys and the movies and them being on retail shelves, then not being on retail shelves, then now all of a sudden starting to show back up, they're really, really cheap to get a hold of. I picked up all 5 of these figures, excuse me, 6 if you count the Build-A-Figure, I'm sorry, Collect and Connect. I picked them all up for on average of about 12 bucks a piece. Half of them I picked up for that price on Amazon, brand new, with free shipping. So now's a really good time to pick up these figures if either A, you liked the movie, B, you just like Dune in general, or maybe C, you just like Mcfarlane stuff. They make really good toys. I mean, let's be honest here. They make great action figures. And if you can pick up an entire line, an entire wave, and get 6 figures for about 12 to 13 bucks a piece, that's a really, really good deal. Especially right now, given that we're seeing prices rising on just about everything that you want to pick up if you're a collector, especially things from Hasbro. And it can be kind of crazy. So to be able to pick up, again, an entire line of 6 figures for about 12 to 13 bucks a piece, that's a pretty damn good deal. And that's why I think now is the perfect time. Before the new movie comes out, before the first trailer comes out, before anybody really gets excited about picking some of these toys up because they're excited about the new movie, go get these now. That's just my opinion. Alright, so here's what we're going to do next. We're going to take all these out of the box, we're going to put them over in the booth, and we're going to take a closer look at these figures and give you the review and comparison that you're accustomed if you watch my videos. Alright, so here we have them out of the package, and had to pull the camera back from the photo booth just a little bit to get everything in there, mostly because of the Baron at the back, which is, let's just get this out of the way right now, just a glorified statue. I mean, that's all he is. He does have shoulder rotation, and he rotates at the wrists, and that's it. Other than that, he is completely static. He literally has a stick up his ass to hold him up. Now, the sculpt is great. The paint is on point, and considering I paid $12.96 for him on Amazon with free shipping, I'm not complaining. It's going to look great on display, okay? And we'll take a closer look at him towards the end of the video, but yeah, he's not an action figure, okay? He's just not. So let's focus on the 5 actual action figures that actually have articulation of one level or another. Now, to get this out of the way, these 2 right up front, Paul and Jessica, the exact same body. The only difference between these two is they come with different accessories. Paul comes with 2 shorter daggers, Jessica comes with 1 longer dagger and a backpack, and obviously the head sculpts. And the same thing with the 2 at the back, Stilgar and Duncan. Again, the exact same body, different heads, different accessories. That's it. Now, is that cheaping out? It kind of feels like it. Look, every company does reuse. Rarely does a company do reuse within the same wave. But they did. Now, I understand why, not just from a cost-saving perspective, but just from a storytelling perspective, from the perspective of creating movie-accurate figures. I mean, they all wore the same suits, and Jessica and Paul were roughly the same size body-wise, and Stilgar and Duncan were roughly the same size body-wise, so it makes sense that they would look very, very similar. Maybe not identical, which they do, but very, very similar, so I understand it. And again, if I was paying full retail for these, I might find it a little annoying. But again, 12 to 13 bucks a piece, half of these I got on Amazon, I'm not going to complain. So, yeah, that's really the main difference between those 4 right there. As far as our Build-A-Figure slash collect and connect slash whatever, I don't know, I'm going to call it a Build-A-Figure. Robin back there, or Rabin, or Raban, or I don't know, we're just going to call him Dave Bautista at this point. Let's just go with Dave, all right? Dave back there, as far as he goes, being the Build-A-Figure, you know, he's obviously got a completely different suit, original sculpt, all that kind of stuff. And we'll go into articulation here in just a minute, but, you know, obviously he's going to be the standout, I think, in this wave simply because he's not wearing the exact same suit that all the rest of them are. But again, that's part of the story. All right, so given that these 2 are the same, we'll take a look at this one as far as articulation in this first body mold here, but let's look at the face sculpt there, and I think this face sculpt is done very, very well. It looks very good. It looks just like Rebecca Ferguson, and I think it's perfect. I think it's exactly what you would want in a movie-accurate face sculpt. Now, as far as articulation on this body frame, far as the hair and the high collars, you're not getting really any head movement. I mean, that's looking up, looking down, you get a little bit there, that's it. You do technically get rotation, but it's not anything to write home about. As far as the rest of the articulation goes, you know, you get the standard Mcfarlane, you know, arms and shoulders and wrists and bicep cuts and, you know, double jointed elbows, double jointed knees. Same thing with the wrists, toe articulation, all that good stuff. Obviously, with this suit being here, and this is like that with all 4 of the characters, there is no ab crunch. There's just not. They lean a little bit back, but not forward at all. Now, as far as the sculpt goes, it's actually really, really well done. I think it looks really nice. I think they did a fantastic job. It's basic as far as the paint goes, but the paint is on point. It looks really good. It's really crisp. It looks very, very movie accurate as far as all that goes. And again, the sculpt is really well done. It looks really, really nice. Could use some color, but again, that would go against the movie. So, all in all, this is a good body sculpt, good paint, and again, like I said, head sculpt's looking good as well. Now, as far as this guy goes, Paul, really the only thing to look at here is the head sculpt, because the body is exactly the same as what we just looked at here. And you can see the head sculpt looks great. In fact, I think this is probably the best of all the head sculpts as far as looking the most like the actor. I think it's really well done. Did a great job with the hair. Texturing's good. Color's good. Again, everything's on point here. So now we'll take a look at Duncan here. Again, basically the same suit, just in a larger body frame. But again, paint and sculpt, everything is on point. Everything is right where you would want it to be. Looks great. Chest piece, everything looks good. I will be taking these little face masks off because they do cover up the face, but I will say this, for Jason Momoa, is a better face sculpt than the one we got with the Mcfarlane Aquaman. This is a better representation of Jason Momoa. It's done very, very well. And even if you're just into head swapping or anything like that, this is a great figure to pick up for that alone. And again, for 12 to 13 bucks, that's not too bad. So all in all, really well done. You can see here, arm articulation is pretty good with the double jointed elbows. Again, standard with the with the socket joints here. on the shoulders. We've got the bicep swivels. We've got the again, standard articulation here, right? Double jointed knees. He can come up this far. He can almost kick his own ass, but not quite. The two smaller figures actually can. Same with the ankle articulation, toe articulation, all that kind of stuff. It's all good. It's all there. It's what you would expect from a McFarlane toy. Again, just like with the smaller figures, not really any ab crunch. Goes back a little better than it goes forward, but that's about it. And again, this figure right here is identical, short of we've got the Javier Bardem face sculpt there that, again, looks really, really good. In fact, I would dare say that the face sculpts on these things are the best part of this line. I mean, I like McFarlane stuff in general, but I think this line did a really good job of pulling out good face sculpts that match the actors. So now let's take a look at Dave Bautista here. Now, he is probably, out of the actual action figures, the least articulated, simply because he's the Build-A-Figure. So we've got the single jointed elbows and we've got knees that are double jointed, but technically only do that. The cape or whatever that thing is kind of gets in the way. Ankles don't really move much on this guy. He does have toe articulation, but nothing to speak of. Again, ab crunch on this guy doesn't really exist. As far as his head, we've got swivel. He can look down just a little bit, but well, without popping his head off, he doesn't really look up there. So, you know, not a lot going on there, but other than that, pretty much what you would expect. And again, his head, there we go. Head pops back on there. But, you know, less articulated than the rest of the figures, but still good sculpt. Paint's not really, I mean, you know, it's fine. He's wearing a completely dark suit. There is some kind of gold dry brushing here on the suit that looks good. Or it's not gold, silver dry brushing, I should say. That looks good here on the suit. I think it's done well. I think it looks good, but not very articulated. But again, that is a great Dave Bautista head sculpt. Looks really, really good. So, well done there. All right, so now I'm going to flash over and we're going to take a closer look at the big guy there at the back. All right, so let's take a look at the big guy here at the back just a little bit. First, we're going to take a look at the face sculpt, and this does look like Stellan Skarsgård in full makeup from the movie. Very well done. Again, face sculpts are where this line shines. As far as the arms go, look, we've got basic rotation there. That's basically it. And then we rotate at the wrists. That is the only articulation on this whole thing. His head doesn't move at all, but the sculpt on this thing looks really, really good. Very well done. I like the contrast between the shinier parts and this kind of leather texture here that looks really good, and some of the duller parts that are supposed to be fabric. The paint, where it exists, is done really, really well. And yeah, I think it's really nice. Really, really well done. I think they did a good job. Again, it is a glorified statue, but it looks pretty good. Alright guys, so there you have it. All in all, I think it is a good, solid line. I think McFarlane did a really good job given what they had to work with. And guys, I mean, for what these things are selling for right now, knowing that the movie is going to be coming out next year, part 2, knowing that the first movie was so well received, if you are a fan of Dune, if you are a fan of the movie, if you're just a fan of McFarlane toys, again, these things are cheap right now. This is definitely a no-brainer, guys. This is definitely a line you want to go pick up.